Hello everyone, this is Pankaj Kumar Thakur and welcome back to Code to CloudX. So, in our previous video, we understood what a pipeline is, right? And the difference between stages and jobs, and also learned about the default test stage. Fine. So, in this video, we will continue from there and understand two very important concepts in this video: job isolation and what is the use of artifacts in GitLab. So firstly, we will try to replicate the requirement when why artifact is required, and if it will be required, then we will use the artifact in our pipeline. Okay, so let's start. So in our last video, we created a job named build underscore order, and job inside this job under the script section, we performed the following steps, where we printed a message using the echo command, created a folder named build using the mkdir command, and navigated into the build folder using the cd command, right? And created a file, and file name is order.txt using the touch command, and then wrote some content into that file. And here we are using a operator that is called redirection operator, right? That's fine. But now if I go back to my GitLab project repository and I can see files, I can see files like readme file, .gitlab-ci.yml file, but I am not able to see the build folder or the order.txt file. So where did these files went? Okay, so the reason is GitLab job runs in a temporary environment. Okay, so when a job runs, GitLab creates a new environment. Okay, so usually a separate Docker container. So whenever we run our jobs, so for that job runs in an isolated Docker container environment. Okay, and that is a temporary environment. So any files created during the job exist only inside that job environment. So once the job is completed, that environment is destroyed. Okay, fine. So that's why the build folder and order.txt files are not saved in that repository, or we are not able to see such files which are creating during the pipeline running. So we are not able to see that files. Also, during pipeline execution, we typically do not commit files back to the Git repository. Okay, so the pipeline is meant for building, testing, and deploying the application, not for modifying the repository content. So however, if you want to verify, okay, so however, I want to verify whether the file was actually created during the job. You can we display its content in the job logs? Okay, so for that we can use a Linux command. So we are going to use a command through which we can verify the file which we are creating exists or not. So let's use, here we will write a command, and it's a Linux command, cat, and we can give the order.txt. Okay, so cat is used, this command is used to display the, we can read and display the content of that file. Cat read file. Okay, so now we go back to our job, we refresh it. Still pipeline is running. Now we will try to see the logs. our cat command has executed, right? And here I can see the content of that file. So come on top and try to understand actually what's showing in these logs. So firstly, what we are able to see, running with GitLab Runner, and here runner name. Okay. So what does it mean? So GitLab Runner picked our job, what we mentioned under build underscore job, picked by our GitLab Runner. Another actually what's showing, preparing the Docker machine executor. Okay. Using the default image, sorry, using the default image, and default image name is Ruby 3.1. That's fine. It means actually what we can understand here, कि our job is not running directly on GitLab server. It's running inside a fresh Docker container, and container named is 3.ruby 3.1. So every job gets its own isolated container environment, right? Now let's create another job, test underscore order. Okay, one tab script, and I'm giving a message hyphen echo, and simply checking the order file. So the purpose of this step is to verify whether multiple jobs under the same stage run in parallel or not. Okay, so let's commit this file first. New job under the default test stage. Okay, so commit and push to main branch. So let's still showing cat read file existing command showing, refresh it so that my latest commit will be visible. So my latest commit is new job created and pipeline is running. Let's see the pipeline logs. So you can see here both jobs are running parallelly, build order and test order. Okay, so let's see the test order first, that, and both are executed successfully. Fine. So echo checking the order file, and checking the order file, I am getting that message. Now I have to test that file. If that file exists or not, I have to test that order file. So how can I test? For test, I have a command test. So actually test is used to evaluate true or false conditions. Okay. And hyphen F. Actually hyphen F flag checks if the file exists or not. So here what I will do, test hyphen F, and we have to check uh, inside the build folder, is there any order.txt file? Okay. And also one of the command through which we can check, it's a pattern filter criteria, you can say, just like if you have written anything in notepad or anywhere and you search through control F. So using grep, actually just like we have logs, and in logs we have Kubernetes logs or any logs. So it's a Linux command where you can simply write grep. So you can say grep is a powerful text search tool, okay, used to search for pattern. So you can pass the patterns actually in which pattern you want to search. So grep, and simply I have to what search. Okay, so here actually I have did mistake. So pizza. Okay, pizza. This is the, I think. Okay, so grep, and I have to check if pizza is exist this content within this. file order.txt. But yeah, I order.txt is not in the main directory. It's under the build directory. Okay. So I have to pass the build order.txt. So simply what I did here, we have created two jobs. So we have already seen that both jobs are running parallelly under the test stage. But this time we are here we are creating the files and keeping some content and folder, all these things. But here we are only checking if these full files exist or not inside the build folder, and I'm checking that content is exist or not within this file. So just comment inspection of order file. So now check, refresh it once. So pipeline, I think pipeline has started. Just click new tab. So both jobs are running under the test stage. Okay. So we can see here that test order executed first and build order executed later. So actually our test order is dependent, a test order job is dependent on build order. So what we have to do, we can uh, rather than executing parallelly, we have to create the stage. So firstly one stage will be create, then after another stage should run. Now we have to create a pipeline. So that firstly build dot underscore order will create and all the files will be exist. Then after test order will verify. So here what's happening, when test happen F trying to search this file, they are not finding this file, and our job is getting failed. So now refresh it so that we can see one job has passed and another one has failed. Okay. So what I do in .gitlab happens ci.yml file, I create a stage. So stages, and I have to create two stages. But yeah, we have to be take care about indentation of YML file. Otherwise, it will give error. Build, and another one is test. Test. I have created two stages. So what I want, that this build dot order, okay, build dot order execute this this pipeline should execute first, then test underscore order stage test. What I did, build underscore order is will run under the build stage, and test underscore order will run under the test stage. So now I commit. This is fine. Cross check, build test. Okay. And now I commit. What to do the message? Stage. Defined stage. Defined stage. Now commit and push to the main branch. So now again we will check that our job should start, pipeline should start. Okay. So now so you can see that, so what I want to watch here, that gonna see what we wanted in the beginning. Okay. So two different stage, build and test executed in this exact order. one after another. So firstly, build stage should execute, build or job, and then test, sorry, build stage, and then after stage should execute. So actually we want to see the same thing in the beginning. Okay, got my point? Okay, now firstly we are running both jobs under this same stage, test stage, default test stage, but now we have created two different stages, one for build and one for test, and both should execute in a order, one after another. But unfortunately, test order is still failing. Okay, so now let's check actually what's the problem, why it's getting fail. So now we have to understand actually, and please, here you can see that our echo command has executed. We got the message, and here again on same line, test underscore f build order dot txt. It means this command is getting fail. So here we have to understand. So once this job has ended the Docker container, it means I want to tell you that for both job separate container, this job will run inside the separate container. Once that container will destroyed, that file will automatically destroyed with that container. It means when this job will run, it means it's already destroyed, so that test command will not be able to find this file and folders, because both are running on the separate environment. So here creating separate stage of each job, as build and test jobs are dependent, and the idea is that each individual job is isolated in its own Docker container. So previously we have executed the build underscore order job. Once the job has ended, that Docker container has been destroyed together with order.txt file. So when the next job is starting, the order.txt is not in the container because it has been destroyed. So GitLab has a way to tell the runner to keep. So actually now what we have to do? So we have to tell to GitLab that, so GitLab has a way to tell the runner to keep this file, and this is done by defining a job. So now we have to introduce a new job that is called artifact. Okay. So artifact, actually what is artifact? GitLab has a way for us to tell the runner. GitLab has a way for us to tell the runner, hey, we have created here something very important and we want to keep this, and this is done by defining a job artifact. So what we have to do? We have to introduce a job under the script. Okay. So here we will define a artifacts, and here we will, so what I have to keep, it means that should not be destroyed with container. So what we have to keep? We have to paths paths. Okay, P- that's fine. And I have to one tab column and build. So actually, what is artifact? So a job artifact is something that is made during the build process. Okay. So just like we have created order.txt file and keep inside the build directory, this is a job artifact, something that we want to keep and use it in upcoming stage and jobs. So and we do this by specifying following syntax. Okay, so this syntax we have to follow. So let's see now this time it's working fine or not. Okay, so I think we have did within this script, and yeah, so simply artifact artifacts, added and commit and push. Now let's see how it works. So we can refresh. So now we can open in a new tab, close this one first one, and we check that everything is working or still. So build order is, and this is waiting. Once build underscore order will be finished, then test stage will start running. So build order has passed and now test order has started. So now we open and see the logs actually. What's printing under the logs? So actually Docker container environment has started. Docker executor with image 3.1. So here only one job is showing under the test because both has separate. Yeah. So now you can see that this one also executed and grep command also find the pizza under the order.txt. Okay. So our job succeeded. So this we have told to GitLab that keep everything that is inside the build directory. Fine. Okay. So here actually what I did. So we told to GitLab that keep everything that is inside the build directory. That's why when test underscore order job executed, they are able to find folder and files and content of that file. But here one more thing I want to share with you. I told you that default container environment executes for each stage. If I want to pass my own Docker container, okay, so how this will work? So for that actually what I have to do, I have to add our own image. So what we can do, we can define a image image and this time I want to add my own image, and instead of Ruby we can see our own container what we are defining in our pipeline. Okay, and here also image colon alpine. So let's understand first. So actually what happens when a job runs, GitLab creates a new environment, usually a separate Docker container or runner. Any files created during the job exist only inside the job environment. Once the job is completed, that environment is destroyed. We have already seen. Okay, that's why the build folder and order.txt file are not saved in that repository. So then GitLab Runner use a default Docker image. Okay, so now we will understand actually what is Alpine. What is Alpine here? So Alpine actually it's a lightweight Linux Docker image used to run CI/CD jobs. Here we have to run that jobs. So Alpine will use to run CI/CD jobs. So means what? GitLab will run your job inside a Docker container that is based on Alpine Linux version. If you want to check, so also you can print inside. You can write a command and you can check the version of that container image. Okay. So actually what will happen? GitLab Runner pull that Docker image, create a container, run your job inside that container, and after job finish, when that job will be finished, container will be destroyed. Okay, so let's try and see the logs. Alpine image added to verify logs. Okay, So let's and see. So just create okay, build is already okay. So now firstly we will check the logs of build order. So here you can check, see that rather than Ruby, Alpine, what we have defined in our pipeline, in our job, inside the job, that container is getting created. And when this job will be finished, that container will be destroyed. And if we will want to see for test order, so now we can check. Okay, so we understood that each GitLab job runs in its own temporary Docker container. So if we needed, we can specify our own custom image in the pipeline, just like we added Alpine. Okay. Or since containers are isolated, files are not shared automatically. Fine. So to pass the files, what we have to do? We have to pass the files between jobs. We use artifacts. That's fine. So that's all for this video. In the next video, we will build a real CI/CD pipeline for a Spring Boot application. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Go to CloudX. Thank you, everyone.